There are still going to be a few people coming in here, but maybe I can start with the introduction and uh, and we could uh, begin the presentation. I just want to thank Gilbert for doing this presentation for us this morning, and I want to welcome growers from PEI in New Brunswick who are joining us as well. Um, and like I said before, this presentation will be recorded for people that aren't able to attend this meeting, but if you want to revisit this, if there's details you miss in the original presentation, you'll be able to look at it again. So Gilbert, if you want to begin, I think you have the ability to share the screen there.
Yes. So there we are. So good morning, everyone. I'm pleased to meet you this morning and to make this presentation. I did a similar presentation earlier this week at the Quebec Wild Blueberry Day. There was almost more than 150 producers. And as I said before I started to present that this week, uh, I'm a bit nervous because the news are not so good, but I'm not here to negotiate price. If I had to, for sure it would be higher. But the idea here is to the mandate I have from both the Quebec wild blueberry producer and from Wabana is to present unbiased factual information about market conditions, and that's what I'm planning to do today with the presentation. So I'm going to go through the market and market for the current marketing season, and basically this presentation I've been asked why the price is so low, so I will try to answer that question. And at the end of the presentation, I'm going to go through I'm going to go through an historical background about the price fluctuation at the farm level. I'm going to present that to you, and what can we do to improve that, and also to in the long run have a better price for both, I guess, producer but also processors. So let's start the presentation. So the market outlook, as I said, the low price in 2023, but currently the price is increasing. I guess the worst is behind us, and I'm going to go through that and try to explain that why I'm saying that. As you know, we have been following for more than 12 years now the production cycle, inventories, supply, sales, and imports, exports, and also prices at both the wholesale price for wild blueberry, frozen wild blueberry, but also at the farm level. So basically, I'm going to start easy. This one, I guess you're probably aware, but just to for you to get an overview, this is historical production for Quebec Maritimes and Maine. Basically, the production in Quebec this season is still it's almost the second highest or third highest in the history. So we had back to back two very good crop. Keep that in mind because it has implication for what happened in the market and the price over the last few months. So basically, and if I look at total maritime, as you are aware, last year you had a very good crop, second highest, though this year is not so good. You had some trouble with weather. And for Maine, basically back to back, it's 2 years of below average production, because what I am presenting over here is how could I say, the average, the 10-year average production in Quebec is around 85 million pounds, which we will call that, let's say, an average a year. So this year was 112, so much higher. Maritime's average for all the three maritime provinces around 135 million pounds historical average. You are at 126, so it's below average. And basically, Maine is 70 million, and 10-year average is 8 million pounds. So when I add up everything for North America, which is Quebec, Maritime, and Maine, basically this is year to year over the last 10 years production of wild blueberry in North America, and the average is 300 million pounds. So what we can observe for this year the average production is this year production is almost bullseye with an average production. So the price decline that we observe right now cannot be explained by the level of production of wild blueberries. There's other reason why the price went down. Um, and also when I look at the bilberry or the wild blueberry production in Europe, mainly Ukraine and Scandinavian countries, they had a low crop too. So it's not due to overproduction this year. That's not the reason why the price went down. And when I go to your competitor or your substitute, the frozen cultivated blueberry production, in fact, here's the historical average production in North America. That's both Canada and United States. Basically, and this is the packing. This is already frozen. It's not total production of cultivated. As you know, most of the production is sold fresh. Though for the packing side, the level of packing this year in North America is below average. Again, I cannot explain the price decrease in the wild blueberry with that. In fact, I should expect a price increase because there's a lower production level of frozen cultivated blueberries. Basically, we got 320, I'm estimating at around 324 million pounds of cultivated blueberries that has been frozen. And the average will be around 361. And also, I cannot use, let's say, especially Chile, and that's the South American country that is packing the most the cultivated blueberries in South America. But basically, the production, as you are aware, has been very low in both Peru and Chile and also Argentina due to the El Nino effect that we are currently having here in Quebec, and I suspect in Maritime too. We had a very, very warm winter this year. I'm not even so sure if I could call that a winter. But basically, the El Nino effect had a tremendous impact on production level all across South America, but also in the west side of United States and Canada, basically British Columbia, Washington, Oregon. They suffered the effect of El Nino. And the reason why I'm mentioning these three areas is because that's where most of the packing occurs in North America. So, and there's in terms of importation from the South America frozen cultivated blueberry in 2023, it was one of the lowest year over the last 6, 7, or 8 years. So there's not overflow of new production in the system. In fact, usually with that kind of condition, we should observe an increase in price. And when I add the total supply, which is the production of cultivated, production of wild, plus the US inventories, what I get? Average supply. So the total supply in the system this year was not so great. In fact, it was average. So in fact, we should see price stability or even maybe a light increase compared to last year. But that's not what we observe, as I will show. So basically, we total a supply of frozen blueberries, both wild and cultivated, is roughly 800 million pounds in North America, same thing as the average. So though, when I look at the wholesale price, the price that your packer are selling the wild blueberries frozen, look at the price trend. This is an estimation I have for 23-24 because the season is not completed. But basically, what we can see is a sharp decline in the price, a huge decline. And the question that everyone is asking me, why? And that's why I will have some explanation in the next few slides. So the price of frozen blueberry on the market is down sharply this season. So this is from 2014 to the current marketing season. The answer, you remember the first bulletin I produced for you guys is I showed a figure that the key factor that explains most of the price fluctuation is inventories. And the reason why inventory is so important, because inventory is basically the intercept between supply and demand. Because when the inventory goes up, it means that the demand was lower than supply. So when the demand is lower than supply, the price drop. And conversely, when the supply is lower than demand, or the demand is greater than supply, the price goes up. But unfortunately, when we started the current season, this is inventory in the United States of both wild and cultivated frozen blueberries. Look at the average and look at this year. When the season started, we were at record high inventory level in North America. And on those figures, very important to note, I don't have the private inventory from Canada. Though usually by speaking with processor for many years now, when the inventories are high from the USDA report, you have the same situation on the private side with your Canadian packers. So basically, this is the main reason why the price has dropped sharply. Because a high inventory level, remember last year we had very good crop everywhere in North America. The wild blueberry production was high, the high bush production was high, but the movement was low. The exports were very low. And what happened since the demand was low, there has been a huge increase in storage stocks. Look at the level last year, the 2022. Let's say that's in June 1st, 2022, compared to June 1st, 2023, we had almost a 50 million pounds increase. It's a huge increase. That shows that the product was not moving and the demand was low. And part of that is due to recession. And also, as you know, as I have mentioned, the consumption of frozen blueberries is very sensitive to the household income. And as you are aware, we are not currently in a good situation at that level, I guess, all across Canada, and I would say also in the United States. News speaks a lot about the current inflation for food, and that the consumer has to cut because it's too expensive. So we are suffering from that. So when I look at the wild versus cultivated, look at the evolution. This is the frozen wild blueberry export price for Canada. And that includes the organic also, that is mainly produced in Quebec. Many people ask me, what's the production level of organic in Quebec? It's roughly 25% of our total production. So like if we produce 100 million pounds of blueberries, out of that, there's 25 organic and 75, which is, how would I say, conventional. So basically, this is Canadian export price. As you can see, there has been a decline. And look at the cultivated. And I'm not very pleased to see that. There's no reason for that. Look at this. We're currently exporting at a lower price than the cultivated. And given the quality or the superior quality of your product and the relatively low supply compared to the overall high bush, there's something wrong here. We need to work on that. And the last time we had that, and I don't like to remember you that period, it was during the let's say 16, 18 crisis. So this is not good news. But part of that, the production level is very low this year, as we can see for high bush. But for me, I've been studying the market for so many years. It's difficult to explain that with the supply. And the key factor why I guess we observe that in the wild blueberry is the current interest rate. As you know, this is the preferential rate published by a Canadian bank. So basically, as you are all aware, the interest rate went very high. But what's the implication when you hold inventories and the interest rate increase? There's a cost. Increase the cost to keep the product. So basically, the cost of holding a high inventory is high for both sellers and buyers. And it's very important because it creates some tension between your processor who has to sell the inventory and their clients. Their customer, they don't want to have inventory because it's too costly. Though your processor want to sell their inventory because it's costly. So they were squeezed with that. And there was a high level of inventory by the end of the last year. So basically, there's a high, and also there was a high risk of, how do you say, of losing money on the value of their inventory, because the inventory they had, sorry, at the end of June 2023, basically this is 2022 crop. And the 2022 crop, they paid, or like this is for Quebec, it was 72 cents. I guess in Maritime, it was a bit higher, but let's say roughly 72 cents for producer. There's warehouse fees, there's cost to keep it month after month, and there's also interest rate month after month. So what I have observed this year, and I did publish that maybe in a bulletin maybe a few months ago. They decided to liquidate their inventories. Basically, that's what happened. And we can see it in the drop, to be honest with you, came from Quebec. Don't like to say that, but this is years, the drop is much higher in Quebec. This is the export price from Quebec, and that includes organic. And remember that our export price include between 25 to 30% organic. And this is maritime export price. Basically, as we can see, usually we have a premium, and the reason is fairly simple. It's due to organic. But now, no premium at all. In fact, when I look at it on a monthly basis, look at the situation. This is the season 21-22 from September to August. This is the marketing season. And September 22 to August 23 and September 23 to date. Note that I have export value only on this. The figure I have ends in December. I will receive January figures probably next week. So before I forget, I will not publish my return report this week. I will probably publish it either this week or next week, depending when I will receive the January figure. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I'm expecting a change in trend in price, and hopefully I will be able to see it in the January figure. This is Quebec price, export price, month by month. As we can see, we were over $3 something in 21, in the spring 22, sorry, and down, and then we are still down, down, down. And this is maritime export price, month by month. You were much higher. Remember, in 21, we had a very, very low crop in Quebec. There was no product. And the organic was very, very expensive because we are the sole producer of organic, and there was almost no organic. So basically, that's why the gap is so. But over the time, the gap closed. And in fact, look at in June, the price declined much faster. And the reason why, it's because processor decided to sell their inventory at that time. And if you look at the export figure, you can see a huge bump in the volume. So they decided to move product because there was no movement. I'm not saying it's a bad decision. I'm just saying I'm just presenting what happened, because they were in a squeeze where the product was not moving, and they had to do something because the cost was increasing, the price was going down, they were in a squeeze. So they decided to move the product. Basically, that's my understanding of why the price has declined so much. And because look at the maritime, the price declined only with the new crop. So basically, that's what happened, the export price. Oops, sorry. This is, I forgot forgot it to translate the title over here. Here it says the movement of inventories. So the inventory reduction, though, is much faster this season compared to last season. Okay, this is the way it works with the US inventories. This is the June 1st inventories. That's why I'm using June 1st, because it's when the packing starts in US, because as you are aware, the production of cultivated start earlier. And then they are at peak, let's say in August, September. So it went from almost 120 million pounds, and then They store up to 221, and then the movement was fairly slow last year. Look at the figure this year. As we can see, at the end of the season, we started much higher. We ended much higher than last year. Though, look at the slope. They were able to move product. The difference here was almost 60, almost 50 something million pounds, and now it's only 20. And what I'm expecting in next few months, the green will probably cross the orange, and if we are lucky, it's going to go below. And that means if the inventory is low starting next season, what's the implication for price? I hope you got it. Price is there's going to be an upward pressure for price. And that's why I'm still positive for the next few months. The price will change. And also there's no the cultivated. Remember, the production was low, and the supply from the South America is very low too. So the demand will start again and again. Oh, one thing I forgot to say, and it's very important because I'm going to start speak about that in my conclusion. When I mentioned here that the February or March export price was at most at $3, this is good news because remember, and I wish you can get that price every year, but at the same time, if you're the buyer, it means that you didn't have the product you wanted and the price was very expensive. So if you are a further processor doing whatever product, it could be apple, not apple, sorry, wild blueberry pies, it could be muffins, it could be yogurt with wild blueberries, whatever. But if your input costs increase tremendously and you have none, what do? You try to find alternative because you still want to sell your product and you want to make money with it. So, I mean, it was, I guess you have a very good expression in English saying short-term gain, long-term pain. But basically, that's what it means here. And this is due to the cyclical nature of your production. And I will include myself. We need to find solution to better supply our customer because we cannot be on and then off 1 year out of 3 in the market. We have to be on every year. So I will speak about that later on in my presentation. So far right now, the good news is the movement. They were able to liquidate inventory. They were able to move the product. They were able to start sales. They were able to recover customers. And that's good news, especially with the lower production of cultivating. And I think we will beneficiate from that in next few months. This is because I've been asking, you asked me a lot, what's the Quebec price? And I will show you price I have for Quebec. This is for 2014 crop to this. That's my estimate for the current crop, but it's still too low, too early to have a very precise estimate for the Quebec final price. Because as you are aware, the way it works in Quebec, they receive an interim payment at the harvest time. And after that, during the season, they adjust. And the way it works is at the end of the year, the processor sell to the Syndicat des producteurs de bleuets du Québec their sales, and they deduct their processing cost and marketing fees and everything, and the residual goes to the producer. So it's a formula price. So we never know the price until August next season. So we will know the exact final price for Quebec only in August 24. But I'm expecting that the price should be around where I said 45 plus or minus 10 cents, but around 45 cents. This is my estimate for Maritimes, and this is for Maine. Maine, we will get a better indication later this month because the USDA, as you're, or maybe I'm not sure if you're aware, but the USDA is doing a survey every year, and they will publish the price received by producer in Maine. And that usually is published at the end of March. When I will receive it, I will publish it in my report. So basically, the producer price is down sharply. As I said, the final price in Quebec, I cannot tell you exactly right now, but obviously it won't be as good. Look at one point also last year, Quebec got for my estimate, a bit a lower price than you guys. And as you are aware, as I mentioned, the reason for that is because the liquidation came from Quebec, so our processor will get a lower price for their product than Europe probably this year. And it was the case last year too. So basically, the strategy to improve market price. Uh, uh, One thing, this is the almost 40 years price trend. Look at this is Quebec, and here there's no price because we have no crop due to frost. But look at the cyclical nature. This is Maritimes, and this is Maine. So one thing we can observe, we are all in the same market. But though there's more fluctuation in Quebec, and this is due to the fact that we have a continental production. So we have, unfortunately, late frost in spring that damage a lot of the crop. But basically, what we can see is the huge fluctuation in price. You are in a very, very, very cyclical production. Right now, you are at the bottom. It will go up sometime. But this is no good for nor you producer nor your end customer, because the customer likes to have stability, and they not only in terms of price but also in terms of supply. So we have to work on that if we want to improve price. So basically, this is just to remember you, and this is more important than ever. And the reason for that is because, as you know, this is the world production of blueberries, cultivated wild, and it includes fresh. So we went from almost less than 500 million pounds 20 years ago. We are probably today, this is outdated, we're probably at 5 billion pounds right now, because the cultivated is developing everywhere around the world, every continent, every country almost. And this is cultivated, and this is wild. One thing I want to stress from a strategic point of view, for sure, we have fluctuation in our production, but basically, when I compare that to the production of cultivated, we are fairly stable. So we have to find a way to, the production is limited. We cannot increase a lot wild production, as you know. I mean, it's there by nature, and it's there in the northeast of North America. And basically, we have to capture that and make sure that this limited supply, we value it more or better than what we're currently doing. And why it's more and more important is because in the early 90s, when there was a boom, everybody wanted blueberries. The supply was limited. So you just had to produce, and you had more customer than you can satisfy. But over the 2000 years, production started to increase, move. I mean, people were more picky on quality, but right now, with the huge global supply, I mean, what we're going to see is more and more market segmentation. We're going to have to work more precisely. We're going to have to niche our product. We're going to have to do market segmentation. And this is not different than what you can see in other commodity or even other customer good. So basically, it's going to be very important for all of you guys, and speaking to both producer and packers, to work more on that and do a better job to value the product. Because I think if I have a criticism for your industry, because I'm following many industry, this is the one you need to be more aggressive on that. So basically, what we can do? We have to improve volume and price stability to our customer. Well, funny enough, yesterday I was a wine tasting. My wife is working for the Liquor Commission in Quebec, and we were invited by the Italian producer to go for a tasting. And during the presentation, well, the wine was good, but aside that, the guy started to say that producer in the how do you say in Italy, but in the Valpolicella region and everything. They say we are competitor, but we work together to control our quality and to do promotion internationally and to develop our market and to make sure that we are branding Valpolicella to make sure that the consumer all across the world want our product. And I found that very good. And after the presentation, I went to speak with the guy, and he was explaining to me that they were like what you do, but they were very aggressive. They put money together to do promotion, to do good quality, make sure supply is there, logistic. They all work that together, despite the fact that they are competitors. So there's something to work there. It's not an easy issue, but there's money there for you guys if you better manage that. Development of value-added market niches. You have to, because you have to make sure that your product is well known all across the world, especially by segment who have money. There's money for you there too. And the last, I know you've been working on that, but you need to be more aggressive. Increase awareness of the distinctive attributes of the wild blueberry to better capture the customer money. So basically, that was my presentation for this morning. I don't know if you have questions, or I'll be more than happy to try to answer that.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions? You can either pop something in the chat, or you could unmute and ask that question. So I guess I have one, Gilbert.
Yes.
So this is from data, does not include, that's till the end of December, so it doesn't include
Yes.
any January data.
Yeah, that's why I said that in the bulletin that I will produce it in 2 weeks from now, because I want to get the January figure.
Okay.
Statistic Canada is publishing it usually 35 to 37 days after the end of the month. So January 31st, they will publish, they will publish it in early March. And I will add that, because what I'm hearing and from the contact I have in industry is currently the price is increasing at a fast pace.
Okay.
To be clear, because I want to make sure that everybody got that, some processor made a decision to liquidate their inventories. Good or bad decision, I'm not there to comment that, but the consequence of that is there has been a huge decrease in price. It impacts you, producer, but at the same time, right now, you're going to beneficiate from that in the next few months, and probably next year. So the key factor that we have to follow for next year is what's going to be the crop or the packing of blueberries. But though we are starting with a low inventory, which is good news, because as I mentioned, with the high interest rate, it's the packer were not in a very good position with high inventories, because the cost to hold the inventory was expensive.
Okay, so we've got a couple more questions here. Let me just. Can you explain the as quickly as you can, I guess, how the way price is established for Quebec growers? Because there's because it's different for the Maritimes, and they're just want to have some clarification on
that. The way it works in Quebec, there's a marketing board, and they sign an agreement. The marketing board sign an agreement with packers, a contract, and the formula price is fairly easy. It's the selling price they sell the product, less their processing, their packing costs, less their marketing fees, less transportation. So basically, it's really selling price, less their costs, and the residual goes to the producer. So basically, that's how it works. And to make sure that the marketing board gets the right data, there's an auditor that goes to audit the number transfer from the packers to the marketing board, an independent auditor. So to make sure that they receive the the real value or the real data. So basically, that's how it works. That's why we get only the final price only in August. So we need to finish the season before we can establish the final price. I'm just want to make sure that it was clear for everyone. Feel free to ask questions on that.
Right. And then there's a couple more questions here. So somebody picked up on your graph, and again, it's not completed yet, but are you extrapolating a 50 cent per pound price for producer at this point?
Well, for Quebec, I was in the area of 45, but as I mentioned, I won't make a hard statement on that at this point because I don't know exactly. I know price is going up, but I don't know and that this is private information, and I will probably never get that. I don't know the position of packers. What percentage they sold at that price? What's their marketing strategy? And it varies from packer to packer.
Right.
So it's very hard. And this is very sensitive information too, and it's private information. But that's why I don't know exactly what's going to be the end price, but I'm expecting in the area of 45 cents.
Okay.
Plus or minus 10 cents. Because what I can do is I can publish it, let's say in the September or issue, I will publish the Quebec price.
So the next question you talked a little bit about having better supply, more consistent supply.
Mm-hmm.
It would stabilize grower price, perhaps. The challenge, I think, is climate change is part of our big challenge right now for hindering supply. I wonder if you have comments to that.
Yeah, sure. As I said, it's not an easy issue. What I could say is right now the Quebec board is analyzing a lot what they've done in the maple syrup industry, and I will be very clear: we cannot replicate what happened in the maple syrup because, as you know, maple syrup production is done. Worldwide production is roughly 80% in Quebec, so they have the supply to do that. Because as for people who doesn't know, in Quebec, the maple syrup marketing board is keeping a strategic inventory. So when there's low year, they release inventory. Though when there's a high year, they remove product from the market and they keep it. So to stabilize the supply in the market and make sure that and maple syrup processor like that because they can take more market risk. They can give more guarantee to their customer that they're gonna supply product. And the reason why we are looking at maple syrup, they have the same kind of pattern of huge fluctuation in production level. But since they have been able to put in place a strategic inventory and to manage that, the price for both producer and packer just skyrocket because it gave the processor a much better position to develop market and to take market risk and to be more aggressive in the market because they know they're going to get the supply. So how to do it in the maple for wild blueberries? There's different way to do it. Part of it is probably try to identify your key customer and make sure to supply them year after year. Is there, as I mentioned with the Italian guys, is there a way to have a kind of a pool? I don't know exactly, but what I can say, the Quebec board, and they're having discussion with Quebec processor. It's not easy to say. I'm not saying it's going to be there tomorrow, but they are looking at that. They are trying to find solution. And I think we need also, if we go into that direction, we need to also include Maritimes and main processor. I mean, it has to be a North American industry position. And the idea is to better secure the market supply year after year. And it's going to be more important with the climate change, unfortunately.
So we have
Gilbert, don't you think, Gilbert, that all those highs and lows and pricing in 2021 the processors paid bluntly too much money for blueberries. And don't you think some of that is the cause? When there's a low supply, they fight over them and they pay too much to keep the markets, and then we always have a downturn.
In fact, I wouldn't say that the processor paid you too much, guys. I'll never say that. But what I can say is they sold it too high at their customer. Yes. Because if you're a processor, let's say you produce a yogurt with wild blueberry and you do a lot of branding, and it's not just a matter of price, it's a matter of availability of the product. If you don't have the wild blueberry and on your package it says wild blueberry yogurt with wild blueberry, but you don't get them, you're in trouble. So you say, well, it won't happen again. So what do? You try to find another source of supply, and maybe now it's just written yogurt with blueberries, not wild blueberries. And that's what hurts you right now, because there has been movement from that. You know, your further processor, they make decision to secure their supply and to secure the market and secure their margin. Yes, the answer is yes. And I've seen that not only in wild blueberry, I've seen that in the veal industry. I've seen that in many sectors that I'm following. Every time there's a skyrocketing price, you pay the price after that, for the reason I just mentioned.
Okay, we've got a couple more questions here. Question on the production is down in South America. Is that temporary? Do you see this as I'm not asking. I don't know how experienced you are in climate change.
I know. Well, climate change, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I could say like this year was really an effect of El Nino. Currently, the news I'm reading, they're saying they will probably be back. But the eyebush industry is positioning also themselves. Yeah, they are replacing more and more faster their trees. And their strategy now is to produce bigger fruit, more sweet, because they're going to try to segment their market and put value more. And there's going to be the super high quality, super sweet blueberry fresh. But the counter side of that, and that's an implication for you, if they're going to try to have uniform product, what are they going to do with the fruit that is smaller and less sweet? Where do you think it's going to head? They're going to sit to packers, and it's going to be frozen, sorry. And then they're going to compete you. So I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen with that. And the biggest threat you have as an industry for a while is if the consumption of fresh cultivated blueberries slow down. Because if it's not sold fresh, they're going to sell it frozen. And their margin, they make it with fresh, not frozen. So it's a different industry. And again, that's why you have to be more aggressive. You have to be more aggressive. Try to how do you say? I'm looking for the English term. This I have written here. Sorry. To increase the distinctive aspect of wild need to be pushed more, and the customer in their head, they must say, well, wild is it's a different product. It's the best thing in the world. I mean, and it's much better than the cultivated one. You have to be aggressive on that. It's very important. If not, you're going to be in direct substitution with the eyebush, which is not a good use for you guys. You need so that's why the promotion you do is very important. I think you should be in fact do more and be more aggressive on that. I've been, as you are aware, Wabana is trying to develop Wabana 2.0, and they just had a new strategic plan, and I think they want to be more aggressive. I think they got it. I mean, it's very important that they do promotion more aggressively in the future.
Okay, last two questions. I don't want to take up too much time here, but so we talked about we talked about the generic field price for essentially for 2023, and we talked a little bit about Quebec, but that sort of plus or minus 10 cents from what you were estimating would be for Maritimes as well. You're estimating at this
I'm
point.
sorry. Oh yeah, the price. Yeah.
Plus or minus that 10 cents depending on processor inventories and where they sold the fruit and so on.
Yeah, and cost, the processing cost too,
Right.
everything. Yes.
And then final one,
Just to let know everyone, right now the producer in Quebec has received 35 cents so far.
right.
And there was a meeting yesterday. I didn't get the news, but between producer and packer to discuss for more money. But my feeling they won't get more. But I don't have the answer. Maybe I'm wrong. Hopefully I'm wrong.
So, and then final question. This is a little bit of a just getting your thoughts on this. Would a establishing sort of grower processor contracts work? So having a stabilized grower price. Do you think that would be beneficial, say
Yes.
for over 3 to 4 years?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
how to do that simpler than it's more complicated than just saying it, but
well, yeah, I mean, the first thing it's complicated because it involves many jurisdictions, many provinces, and one state in the United States, first of all. But what I would, if I had the mandate to do that, the first thing I will do though is start frank and open discussion between producer and packers from Maine, Quebec, and Maritime. And if I want to be very, very transparent, I don't know exactly where the main producer are at with this issue, especially with the countervail duty pressure we had, what, 4 years ago. So, but the first thing to do is to start to have open, because it's to the best interest of everyone, and I would also it's the best interest of customer too, because it's too bad when you don't have your product. So it's beneficial for everyone. So you're creating more value if you're better management. So if I want to be clear, I'll start open discussion, and then I'll try to find solutions that are applicable, and that it's going to be step by step. That's my view.
okay. I think those were all the questions that were asked. I want to thank you for doing this, Gilbert. Like I said, this is going to be, if people want to relook at this again, I'll be posting this on our YouTube site later on today. And thank everybody for attending on this Friday morning.
Thanks, everyone.